Hello everybody, welcome to Life in France. Life in France versus life in the UK. I'm Mark, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget, hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. In today's episode of Life in France, I'm talking about French nightlife. French nightlife compared to nightlife in the UK. So we'll start off with pubs. I'm an Essex boy originally, and we used to hang out in Brentwood, home of Townies. Or Towies is it? I can never remember. I've never watched it. It really annoys me, that programme. I've never come across anyone from Essex to speak as they do. Anyway, we used to go out to Brentwood. And Brentwood High Street has about a dozen or so pubs. And some of them are like the in places to go to. Others are a little bit quieter. But, you know, there's a pub for every occasion and for every taste in Brentwood High Street. Whether you want to be the in person and be seen in the place to be, or whether you just want a quiet drink with friends in a small pub. Everything is there. In France, in rural France, that doesn't happen. There aren't pubs. There are tabacs and bars, and you don't actually get those in every village. Whereas in the UK, every village has a pub. It could be the focal point for the village, where all the locals get together, have a drink, have a chat, and just enjoy themselves. That's the social hub of a village, the English country pub. But in France, you don't get that. You get the tabacs and bars, and as I said, not every village has got one. You might have to go to a bigger town to actually find a bar. In our local town, there's probably 2 or 3, but they're all the same. No one's in them. Apart from maybe 3 or 4 old men having a drink. There's no women that go into these bars. There's no youngsters that go into these bars. They're all sort of like 60 plus that are going in there and just having a drink and a chat. And there's like 3 or 4 of them in there. There's no atmosphere, there's no music, there's nothing in there. I honestly don't know how these bars and tabacs survive. They're so quiet. Compared to some of the pubs and clubs in, for instance, Brentwood, the pubs, they have doormen on the doors to stop too many people coming in. They have a counter to make sure there's not too many people inside. And the places are ram-packed because they're just so busy. But it just doesn't happen here in France. If you go to a larger town, like Vannes or Lorient, then you will find more popular bars, but if you're trying to stay local, there just isn't anything in rural France. Guys, obviously I haven't been to many bars or tabacs in France, so I don't know whether you get this situation in France, but in the UK you can have some extremely rough pubs. Pubs that are sort of filled with sort of gangs of guys. And these are pubs that as an outsider you just don't go into, because if you did, it will kick off. You know, I've been to a few pubs before. I went into one in Canning Town to meet a friend actually, and I walked in there and the locals just stared me out so much, but thankfully my friend turned up, and he comes from a feared family basically, and everyone just sort of relaxed as soon as I realised I was with Harry. But if I'd have stayed there on my own for much longer, I'm sure a fight would have broke out. It was that terrible. And those sort of pubs exist throughout the UK. They're always sort of located in quite rough areas, and you know, as an outsider you just don't go out into them because you just stick out like a sore thumb. Guys, when I was in my early 20s, we used to go out to Brentwood a lot, and there was a pub called the Greyhound in Worley, just outside of Brentwood, and it was the place to be, particularly on a Sunday lunchtime. It was ram-packed with youngsters, and everyone would turn up in sports cars, and the whole car park would be filled with MGs, Spitfires, Lotuses, whatever. It was just full up with sports car and people showing off. I always remember one particular day, a helicopter flew over, did a couple of circles of the pub, and then landed in the field next door. The guy got out with this young girl, walked to the pub, had a drink, and then took off again. After he left, the landlord said to me, he only lives down the road, he's purely done it to show off. Only in Essex. And then you've got the clubs. we do have a local club in our town. Now, this may seem strange, guys, but it doesn't open until midnight and it closes at 6 AM. I believe it's on a Friday and a Saturday. And when I first came to France, one of my mates came over and we said, come on, let's go clubbing. We went there. It was like a school disco. You know, I was 40 and I guess the average age in there was about 18. You know, some of the kids were probably as young as 15 and they went up to maybe 20, 21. And I actually asked the doorman, I said, what night for the sort of 30 plus year olds? And he just went, no. It was all youngsters, and that was the crazy thing, the fact that it started at midnight, and they all had to drive to get there, and yet it was full up with kids. There are nightclubs if you go to the bigger cities like Vannes or Lorient, but the thing is with a nightclub, obviously, you want to have a drink. And if you've got to drive, then it's just not the same. And also, you need people to go with. So I never actually went to a club in Vannes or Lorient. Guys, the funny thing with this club in France near to me, bearing in mind, you know, it's just filled up with youngsters, there's a monster working on the doors. He's absolutely huge, this guy. He's probably about 6'8" and anything from 26 to 30 stone. He looks like Frankenstein's monster. His head is like square and huge. And I've met Jeff Capes in the past and shook hands with him. And his handshake was like me shaking hands with my 4-year-old. He made my hand look that small. And this monster of a man works at the local club for all these youngsters. He's just huge. He's on his own and he's got a big Alsatian dog with him, and I think that's all you need. He probably picks 3 or 4 of them up if there's ever a problem on his own. I did ask a chap, this is a funny story, I did ask a chap in the gym, yeah, where do you need to go to meet women about sort of 30, 35 years of age? And he gave me the name of a club in Vannes, and I couldn't find it. I was looking it up and I didn't know where it was on the map. And my accountant, she was in Vannes at the time, and I said to her, have you heard of this particular club? And she started laughing at me. And she just said, Mark, it's not for you. And as I left the accountancy, her colleague had said, what was all the laughter about? And I could hear that she was explaining that I'd asked where this particular club was. And they were both laughing amongst themselves. Well, this really invigorated me to try and find out where this club was. So I searched on the internet and I eventually found it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was for transvestites, lesbians, gay, transsexuals. Also they call them libertines and exhibitionists. And basically I just think everything goes on within this club. It's like for voyeurism. You know, there are people having sex in the middle of this club and people are just watching it. No wonder my accountant laughed at me when I said I wanted to go. But the funny thing was, I asked another Frenchman probably 6 months later, where do I need to go to meet women? And he said the same place. So whether they were just fobbing me off and they didn't want me to sort of hang around anywhere locally, I don't know. But that's where they recommended me to go. I never went there. I don't know if it's still open, but yeah, that was a funny experience, the fact that the accountant was laughing her socks off when I asked her the directions. In comparison, guys, most towns in the UK have a nightclub, and they are for older people. And a lot of clubs in the UK also have over 25 nights or over 35 nights. Basically, to allow older people to meet and mingle with older people. And that's a big difference that I've noticed in France compared to the UK. The fact that they have like over 25 nights or over 35 nights. So it gives you a good opportunity to meet people the same age as yourself. That doesn't seem to happen in France. Guys, if you're starting a new life in France after leaving the UK or starting a new life in France from America, wherever it is you're from, and you want to make new French friends, my top tip for living in France is to join On Va Sortir, OVS for short. It's a French social club online. It has over 700,000 members. And the way it works, you imagine France is a huge country and people migrate all over the place in search of work. And they could end up, like me, Billy No Mates, in a new city or town. And they want to make a new circle of friends. So they join OVS. And the way it works, you like 10-pin bowling, for example. Someone may organise a 10-pin bowling game on a Friday night for up to 20 people to register. So you look through online what events are on each particular day in the town that you want, and you can register to the event. So you can go along, play 10-pin bowling with 19 other people and have a great night out. You can go to the cinema, you can go to restaurants and have meals. I used to go to Let's Speak English nights. You know, there were a sort of dozen French people all wanting to learn to speak English, and I'd go along and socialise with them so that I could learn more French. It was a great way to meet new people. And when you register to an event, the good thing is you can actually see who else has registered. You can see whether they're male or female and also their age. So you can get to sort of cherry pick the people that you want to associate with and to go along with. So it was a great way to make new friends in France, and that's On Va Sortir. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can have a look at the site. So if you are looking to start a new life in France and you want to make new French friends, On Va Sortir, that's the way to go. Guys, stick around to the end because we had a supermoon yesterday, and as we're talking about nightlife, I thought it appropriate to put it within this video. The sky was just magical. The moon was a lot closer and brighter, and there was a lot of cloud cover, and it was just funneling in towards the moon. And it was as though the moon was just pulling you in towards it, and it was just magical. So I've left that at the end of this video just so you get to see, but it was really beautiful to see. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on nightlife in France compared to nightlife in the UK. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care everybody, and stay safe. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on the supermoon that we saw yesterday. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget, hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Take care everybody, stay safe.